Hyun Woo, after defeating the giant skeleton with a single kick, suddenly received a notification on his screen. It told him he needed to prove himself by obtaining a key located in the deepest part of the rift, which was about to appear. He paused for a moment, wondering if he should go deeper into the airport. But before he could decide, he turned toward the hunters who had just witnessed his fight. They were still standing in shock, unable to believe what they'd seen. Seeing their expressions, Hyun Woo casually warned them that a swarm of monsters was closing in from behind. As he scanned the area, it was clear that plenty of monsters were still roaming around. He originally planned to head straight for the airport, but decided to stay and help, just for a bit. He picked up the massive mace left behind by the giant skeleton. Everyone around him was stunned that a human could lift something that enormous. Hyun Woo leapt high into the air with the mace in hand. At the peak of his jump, he spun his body mid-air and slammed the weapon down onto the incoming monsters. The impact was devastating. Everything in its path was crushed, even the ground beneath. A brief silence followed. No one could say a word. The hunters were completely dumbfounded. One of the hunter leaders, witnessing this incredible power, felt a surge of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could survive this fight thanks to Hyun Woo. He rallied the others to hold the line until reinforcements arrived and instructed them to gather near Hyun Woo. But before they could act, Hyun Woo casually turned and started running toward the airport's core. "Handle the rest yourselves," he said nonchalantly, leaving them speechless once again. But this time, it wasn't awe. It was disbelief at how indifferent he seemed. Still, the hunter leader pushed through his frustration and encouraged the others to fight off the remaining monsters and hold on, even as he silently grumbled about Hyun Woo's attitude. The battle raged on. The hunters fought fiercely, but the wave of monsters kept growing. They were nearing their limit. The numbers were overwhelming, yet the leader refused to give in. With a fierce yell, he declared, "If we fall here, everyone outside dies." He urged them to hang in there just a little longer, convinced that backup would eventually come. Just then, an ogre charged at him from behind. But at the last second, someone drew a sword and activated the skill Single Sword, cutting the ogre down in an instant. The hunter leader turned and let out a relieved smile. It was Si-hyun from the Soul Guild. Calmly, Si-hyun slid his sword back into its sheath. "Looks like I'm not too late," he said. And he wasn't alone. His guild members were right behind him, ready for battle. Not long after, lightning struck from the sky, obliterating monsters in another part of the battlefield. People turned toward the source of the strike. The figure that appeared was Seo Yoon, accompanied by her own team. Her elegance and beauty left everyone momentarily mesmerized. Seeing the two of them arrive, the hunter leader figured there had to be one more person on the way. And he was right. Someone pointed in another direction. Seo Kwan had arrived with his forces. As all three teams gathered, the hunter leader felt a wave of emotion. They were finally saved. Seo Yong looked around, scanning the area for Hyun Woo. The hunter leader informed her that he had already gone deep into the heart of the rift. Si-hyun seemed worried, but Seo Yong just smiled in response. Wasting no time, Seo Kwan took the lead and commanded everyone to take out the remaining monsters and prepare to enter the rift's core. With his shield at the ready, Seo Kwan charged into the front lines, plowing through every monster in his way and sending them flying. Meanwhile, Si-hyun followed with effortless grace, slashing his sword through a group of enemies, cutting them cleanly into pieces. Elsewhere on the battlefield, Seo Yong unleashed lightning magic from her hands. Thunderbolt. Several magic circles appeared mid-air and struck down a horde of monsters in front of her. Meanwhile, deep inside the airport, Hyun Woo was busy wiping out monsters as he wondered whether the people outside were doing okay. Eventually, he arrived at the edge of a massive chasm, the rift. It was so deep that he couldn't figure out how to descend. That's when he noticed a pathway across the gap, one used by the monsters to climb up from below. He paused for a second, glanced left and right, then decided to use a nearby car to get down. But in typical Hyun Woo fashion, instead of using the car itself, he ripped off both of its doors and turned them into makeshift shields, or wings. With that, he launched himself high into the air and landed squarely on the monster-built path. The sheer force of his landing caused a massive explosion, with smoke billowing everywhere. As the dust began to settle, Hyun Woo appeared, holding a car door in each hand, grinning like a maniac. Without hesitation, he charged at the monsters scrambling up the path. With brutal force, he sent them flying, many of them plummeting back into the abyss. As he got closer to the bottom, Hyun Woo tossed away the car doors and dove down, free-falling toward the depths. When he landed, he stood atop a pile of freshly defeated monsters. He scanned the area until his eyes locked onto a figure emerging from the shadows. The creature had an ogre-like build, but its body was red and adorned with 3 sharp horns on its head. It was known as the Climber Scarlet Devil, but it wasn't the monster's fearsome appearance that caught Hyun Woo's attention. It was the key hanging from its waistband. Without a word, Hyun Woo dashed forward, ready to end the fight with a single blow. He aimed to finish it in one strike, but just as his fist was about to hit the monster's face, it swiftly dodged. Hyun Woo was shocked, but had no time to react. The Climber Scarlet Devil counterattacked with blinding speed, landing a powerful kick that sent Hyun Woo flying backward. Dazed, he was stunned to find a monster that could not only dodge his attack but strike back with such force. Before he could regroup, the monster was already closing in again. In a split-second decision, Hyun-woo managed to evade its follow-up attack, catching the monster off guard. Using that moment, Hyun-woo struck upward with his foot, landing a clean hit to the monster's chin. Then, without pausing, he got up and landed a punch to the monster's head, sending it crashing to the ground. But the monster wasn't done. It stood up again, clearly annoyed, grumbling angrily while pointing at Hyun-woo. Not understanding a word of the monster's rant, Hyun-woo simply ignored it. Like a bolt of lightning, he charged again with a punch. But once more, the monster managed to block it, and this time, it grabbed his fist mid-strike. Irritated, Hyun-woo immediately went for a follow-up with his left hand. Just before the punch could land, the monster suddenly emitted a strange purple glow. The light threw Hyun-woo off for a brief moment, and the monster took advantage of that split second to land another powerful kick. Hyun-woo was thrown back again, coughing from the impact. He now realized this monster was unlike anything he had fought before. Not even the ones in the tower came close. He had no choice. If he wanted to win, he'd have to use his hidden technique. Rising to his feet, he pointed at the monster and declared that it was going to die. He took a fighting stance, ready for battle. The monster looked confused, unsure what Hyun-woo was about to do. Deep down, Hyun-woo wasn't exactly thrilled either. He didn't want to use this technique again. The scene flashed back to his time trapped in the tower. Back then, in his frustration, he'd thought about how, in martial arts novels, a character often achieves enlightenment after mastering many techniques, helping them overcome impossible odds. Clinging to that idea, Hyun-woo had made up his mind. He would train in martial arts himself. But it wasn't just any kind of martial art. What Hyun-woo tried back then was inspired by animated films and web novels. Even though he knew it was all nonsense, he didn't care. What mattered to him was the hope that something might happen if he just kept trying. At first, he mimicked every cheesy martial arts move that popped into his head, but all of them failed. He tried again and failed, tried again and failed again. But on his 100th attempt, something completely unexpected happened. Looking back now, Hyun-woo considers that time utterly embarrassing, something he'd rather forget. But right now, he had no choice. He had to use that ridiculous technique again to face the monster standing before him. Both of them braced for an attack. As the monster's fist came dangerously close to Hyun-woo's face, at that exact moment, his own fist was already inches from the monster's. He called that move Destruction Punch, and the impact was devastating. In an instant, the monster's head was completely obliterated. The sheer force of the blow tore apart the surroundings, leaving a cloud of dust in its wake. Calm and composed, Hyun-woo sighed in relief, thankful that no one had witnessed what just happened. Just saying the name of that technique made him cringe. He hated remembering his old self. Then, he grabbed the key from the monster's remains. Suddenly, a notification popped up on his interface. Hyun-woo had successfully defeated the climber Scarlet Devil. His status screen changed, and the system officially invited him to become a guardian, with 3 days left to accept. As he stared at the message, Hyun-woo finally felt like he was getting closer to a real answer, about his power, and about his purpose. But unbeknownst to him, a drone hovered above. "What's that?" he muttered. It turned out to be a broadcast drone, live streaming everything on behalf of the association. At that very moment, the upper ranks of Guild Aries were gathered, watching the footage in silence. They had seen Hyun-woo's overwhelming power with their own eyes. The guild leader looked baffled. There was no way that man was just an A-rank hunter. His subordinate explained that the stats weren't from their internal analysis team. It came directly from the official Hunter Association data. Slamming the table in frustration, the guild leader snapped, "You're still denying it after watching that footage? You think he's just A-rank?" His subordinate said nothing. The guild leader, still fuming, added, "He's wearing nothing but a tracksuit. No magic, no items." But as he replayed the fight in his head, he slowly realized, raw power like that can't be judged by appearance alone. Turning to Deputy Manager Yu, the guild leader asked, "Do we have all the data?" Deputy Manager Yu nodded. "I've gathered everything I could for now." Smirking, the guild leader thought to himself, "There's one thing that even overwhelming power can't overcome." Then he ordered Deputy Manager Yu to prepare everything carefully and to launch the plan as soon as it was ready. The next day at the Korean branch of the Hunter Association, a formal award ceremony was held. The award was presented directly by the Minister of Defense of Korea. But Hyun-woo didn't seem impressed in the slightest. As the minister approached to give him the award, he glanced at Hyun-woo's outfit and said, "Looks like I'll need to buy Hunter Hyun-woo some proper clothes." Casually smiling, Hyun-woo replied, "Don't worry about me." The minister was clearly irritated by Hyun-woo's lack of respect. After receiving the award and a bouquet of flowers, Hyun-woo just turned and walked off, without even saying goodbye. The minister stood there, stunned, thinking, what kind of guy is this? Meanwhile, his three friends could only smile at Hyun-woo's usual unpredictable attitude. The scene shifts to China, specifically to the outskirts of Beijing. Inside the fortress of Overlord Guild domination, a woman lounges in a pool, watching a massive monitor screen in front of her. A skull tattoo stretches across her back. She's watching a broadcast of Hyun-woo's battle against the Scarlet Devil. As she observes Hyun-woo's stance, something about it feels familiar. Pointing at the screen, she asks, "What's his name?" Someone nearby, likely one of her subordinates, replies, "He's the guy who recently cleared the Korean tutorial tower. His name is Hunter Hyun-woo." The woman, upon hearing the name, immediately orders an investigation into him. What do you mean by investigation? Her subordinate asks. Everything, she says. Leave nothing out. Every move he's made, from the past until now. The subordinate nods, acknowledging the command. Not long after, another subordinate enters, salutes, and reports that the process of taking over the Wei Yan Guild is going smoothly. He continues, explaining that they've successfully captured all the major dungeons in the southern region. However, during the operation, a conflict broke out with Guild Aries, and one of their executives was taken hostage. The woman steps out of the pool, her eyes sharp and intimidating. How could an executive get captured by a guild like Aries? She says coldly. It's disgraceful. Her voice turns stern. If he can't return on his own, then there's no place for him here. Her subordinate lowers his head in silence. She then commands, accelerate the guild takeover. We can't afford to fail just because of a single dungeon within the same territory. Gazing back at the screen displaying a blushing Hyan-woo, the woman gently strokes the image of his face and whispers in her heart, all of this is for the promise I made. Again, silently to herself, for the sake of that promise. Elsewhere, in a quiet cafe, Seo-yoon looks visibly frustrated with Hyan-woo. The media buzz around his outrageous behavior during the recent awards ceremony is causing quite a stir. After receiving the award, Hyun-woo had walked off without a word. Hyun-woo, as carefree as ever, simply says, why bother thinking about that stuff? I'm gonna live the way I want. That only makes Seo-young and Si-hyun more exasperated. Seo-kwan, on the other hand, just chuckles dryly. Hyun-woo then excuses himself. Si-hyun asks, where are you going, Hyun-woo? I have an appointment, he replies. Seo-yoon looks shocked. Wait, Hyun-woo has friends? Yeah, he answers casually. Seo-young doesn't buy it, and her frustration deepens. Seo-kwan chimes in, why worry? He's strong enough to handle anything. Si-hyun adds, he's already made an enemy out of Aries, and now the media is blowing everything up. Ever since he left the tower, the number of people who want him dead has only increased. Seo-yoon sighs. What is he even trying to do? With a calm smile, Seo-kwan reassures them. Don't worry too much. He's not the type to act without thinking. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo walks into a narrow alley and opens his status screen. After a moment, a voice greets him. Nice to see you again, Hyun-woo, says AV. Yeah, same here, Hyun-woo replies. Wasting no time, he asks, has my authority level gone up? AV answers, yes. Since you defeated the Scarlet Devil, your authority level has been upgraded from lowest to low. Hyun-woo's face immediately darkens. His expression shifts into something twisted, almost psychotic. Are you messing with me right now? Terrified, AV quickly explains she's just relaying the information she received and begs him to calm down. But Hyun-woo grows more irritated. Which clown taught you that nonsense? AV blurts out, the system. What exactly has improved then? He demands. AV answers, there's no change in information access. Hyun-woo's rage only intensified. AV tried to calm him down, saying, now that you've officially become a guardian, I can guide you on what to do next. If you follow through, you'll get what you truly want. Still burning with frustration, Hyun-woo glared at her. But AV continued. You must stop the climbers. Curious, Hyun-woo asked. Climbers? They're beings that climb the tower, AV explained. Though Hyun-woo had spent so long inside a tower, this was his first time hearing the term. But AV wasn't talking about the tutorial tower. She was referring to another tower, one with 12 levels, Earth being one of them. Hyun-woo was stunned. His duty as a guardian was to protect the 9th level of that tower. Shocked, he froze for a moment. Everything had started from a simple question, a desire to learn who had locked him inside the tutorial tower. But now he was shouldering something far heavier, the fate of the world. Frustrated, he shouted, why does this keep getting more complicated? Why do I have more and more to deal with? V remained composed. If you don't stop the climbers on the 9th level, Earth will be destroyed. Hearing that, Hyun-woo slammed the table in anger. So, just because I have to do it, I'm supposed to sit back and accept it? Is that what you're saying? AV, slightly panicked, replied quickly, no, that's not what I meant, but that's basically how it is. Hyun-woo shot her a sharp, menacing glare. His voice dropped, heavy with pressure. Tell me the truth. If there's something I need to know, say it now. What exactly am I supposed to do? V paused for a moment. As one of the system's 9th level administrators, she shouldn't be this shaken. Regaining her composure, she firmly called out, Hyun-woo! He looked at her, eyes sharp with unwavering focus. But AV's resolve crumbled the moment she saw his serious expression. Flustered, she stammered, don't be so angry. The reason they chose you to be a guardian, it was for your own good too. It's meant to help you, and there are rewards. The more climbers you defeat, the higher your authority rank will be. Hyun-woo then asked the question he truly cared about. To get information about the one who created the tutorial tower, and the one who trapped me inside it, how high does my authority need to be? AV hesitated, then replied, to access that kind of information, you'll need to reach at least high-level authority status. Hyun-woo thought for a moment, then asked, so how many climbers do I need to defeat to reach that level? A V let out a sigh before answering. Climbers are categorized into different classes. To keep it simple, you'll need to defeat 5 high-class climbers. That might be enough to boost your authority to high level. Hyun-woo narrowed his eyes, thinking. What class was the climber in the rift yesterday? Low class, AV answered casually. A grin spread across Yeon-woo's face. All right, that gives me a rough idea. That night, in Sai-hyun's apartment, Yeon-woo sat silently, staring at his status screen. His mind was racing. Truthfully, he didn't care about saving the world. That wasn't his concern. He wasn't going to waste time thinking about it. One thing was clear, he had to find the one who trapped him in the tutorial tower. And to do that, he needed to defeat high-class climbers. Suddenly, his phone rang. Seo Young's name flashed on the screen. Yeon-woo, something big just happened. Turn on the news, now, she said urgently. Hyun-woo grabbed the remote and flipped on the news. His face appeared on screen. Breaking news. Hunter. Hyun-woo is suspected of murdering a member of Guild Aries. The incident reportedly took place inside a dungeon owned by Guild Aries. Hyun-woo stared at the screen, emotionless. What kind of nonsense is this? But instead of getting angry, he smiled. A different kind of smile. The kind that said he was already planning his next move. The next day, at Seo Kwan's house, Hyun-woo was lounging lazily on the sofa while his phone kept ringing non-stop. Annoyed, he muttered, "What's all the fuss about?" Nearby, Seo Young was glaring at him, clearly fed up. Her voice rising in frustration, she snapped, "And whose fault do you think this chaos is?" She continued angrily. "The news of you leaving the tower after 12 years was already huge. Now that you've stopped the rift alone, even international eyes are on you. On top of that, there are murder rumors going around. I knew from the beginning you'd end up clashing with Ares." But Hyun-woo remained completely unbothered, not even changing his laid-back position. "There's no need to worry. Why stress about it?" That only made Seo Young angrier. Her frustration was practically radiating off her. "How can I not worry? Do you think you're still inside the tower or something?" As Seo Young kept lecturing him, Hyun-woo couldn't help but think, why does this feel like I'm being nagged by a wife? I don't even have a girlfriend. With a relaxed grin, he teased, "Are you that worried about me?" Without hesitation, Seo Young shot back. "Isn't that obvious?" There was a brief pause before Hyun-woo asked with a playful tone, "Do you like me or something?" Caught completely off guard, Seo Young's face turned bright red. Flustered and furious, she shouted, "You're joking now of all times! Say that again and I'll zap you with thunderbolt." A glowing orb of lightning formed in her hand. Breaking into a nervous sweat, Hyun-woo quickly turned away and muttered, all right, forget I said anything." He could tell another joke might actually get him fried. Just then, Si-hyun entered the room, holding out his phone. "Your name is at the top of real-time searches. You're the #1 topic right now." With a serious tone, he began reading the headlines aloud. Hunter Hyun-woo, suspected of murder. Are his 3 fellow guild leaders also prone to violence? Testimony from a Guild Ares member assaulted by Hyun-woo. Evidence of destruction left behind in Ares Guild's headquarters. Si-hyun looked at Hyun-woo, clearly exasperated, but Hyun-woo remained completely unfazed. Expressionless, he asked, "Why are you looking at me like that?" With growing gloom and frustration, Si-hyun replied, "Our lives are crumbling on social media, and you're just sitting there like it's nothing? You want us all to go down with you?" Meanwhile, Seo Kwan, still smiling calmly, offered his own advice. "Just turn your phones off. That's what I did." Ignoring the complaints, Hyun-woo turned to Seo Kwan and asked, "When does the press conference start?" "In about 30 minutes, Seo Kwan replied. Then with a curious look, he added, "Are you ready for it?" Seo Young and Si-hyun were both startled. Their confusion only deepened when Hyun-woo asked Seo Kwan to gather the reporters. "What are you planning to do?" they asked, nearly in unison. Hyun-woo responded with a blank expression. "What do you mean, what? You think I'd call for a press conference without having anything prepared?" But Seo Young and Si-hyun weren't buying it. "With your personality, I doubt you're doing this to clear your name," Seo Young said suspiciously. Si-hyun added with a serious tone, "You're trying to destroy Guild Ares, aren't you?" Seo Kwan burst out laughing at their wild guesses, while Hyun-woo could only sigh in frustration at how far their imaginations were going. Over at Guild Ares, their leader was smiling smugly. Everything was going according to plan. The previous night, nearly every media outlet had picked up the story. Public opinion was already turning, and their efforts to ruin Hyun-woo's reputation were finally gaining momentum. One of the subordinates reported, "Around 2 p.m. today, Hyun-woo is expected to hold a press conference." The deputy manager chimed in, "With the way the public is seeing him right now, no matter what he says, it won't be easy for him to turn things around." Hearing that, the leader of Guild Ares smiled even wider. The one who takes the initiative wins. In his mind, Hyun-woo was already too deep to back out now. All they had to do was stay one step ahead to completely corner him. Hyun-woo already made the first foolish move. The more popular he gets, the more it'll backfire on him. He turned to his deputy. "Is this press conference going to be broadcast live?" The deputy nodded, adding that they had also dispatched a few people to the venue to keep an eye on things. Once again, the leader of Guild Ares smiled. Victory was within reach. In Mokdong, at the press conference hall, Hyun-woo sat before a crowd of reporters, their cameras flashing relentlessly, capturing his every move. A barrage of sharp questions was thrown his way. Is the circulating news about you true? What was your motive for attacking Guild Aries? How do you respond to the murder allegations? All eyes were locked on him, but Hyun-woo remained silent for a moment. Then, with a calm voice, he said, "First of all, since I don't really know how these press conferences are supposed to go, I'll just do things my own way." He pointed at one of the reporters. "You, repeat your question." The reporter asked, "How are you feeling right now?" With a relaxed expression, Hyun-woo replied, "Good. Honestly, like crap." The entire room froze in shock. But before anyone could react, Hyun-woo pointed to another reporter. "Is it true that you killed a member of Guild Aries?" Without a hint of hesitation, Hyun-woo casually answered, "Yes." Faces across the room instantly turned grim, but before they could say anything else, Hyun-woo continued, "But I'd appreciate it if you waited to judge me until you hear what I have to say next." As he spoke, he pulled out his phone. The crowd looked on, puzzled. Then he played a voice recording. "I was sent by Guild Aries to take care of Hyun-woo." The voice was clear. It was the final words of Cheongang Shin, recorded just before his death. Reporters scrambled to record the audio, realizing they had just heard solid evidence. Guild Aries had indeed sent someone to kill him. Hyun-woo stopped the recording midway. One of the reporters immediately asked sharply, "Where did you get this recording?" Still calm, Hyun-woo answered, "Aries must have already told you that the invisible swamp was where a hunter named Cheongang Shin died. I went there to defeat a boss monster, but instead, I found myself in a situation I didn't expect, like this. And now the media is spinning it into some sensational drama, as if Aries is the only victim here." The reporter followed up, this time with a more serious tone. "So, are you saying Guild Aries is accusing Hunter Hyun-woo?" Wearing a cool, relaxed smile, Hyun-woo replied, "Isn't that exactly what they're doing?" The tension in the room escalated. Another reporter quickly chimed in, "Can you guarantee that the recording is authentic? Audio can be easily manipulated after all." Hyun-woo paused for a moment, then smiled. "I was almost disappointed no one asked that," he replied. "At first I thought this recording would be enough proof. But if the press wants something more..." He raised his phone. "This phone belonged to the hunter sent to assassinate me." He went on to explain that he couldn't unlock the phone because it was password protected, but if handed over to the authorities, it could be opened. For now, he just brought it to show the reporters. Hyun-woo then asked what any of them would do if an assassin from Guild Aries came after them. He reminded them he was just a hunter who had recently exited the tower. He fought back simply because he didn't want to die. He explained that the assassin who attacked him got unlucky. During their fight, the assassin ran into the mega alligator, the dungeon boss in that area, and ended up getting thrown out and killed. One of the reporters asked if Hyun-woo was the one who killed the assassin. "You could say that," Hyun-woo answered. "But it was because of his own carelessness during the fight, something that should have never happened." The reporters jotted down every word of his confession. Hyun-woo then said he'd always heard Guild Aries was an impressive organization, which was why he initially considered letting the whole thing slide. But instead, they chose to blow the incident out of proportion. After the press conference ended, Hyun-woo walked out, thinking to himself that this kind of annoying mess wasn't exactly new to him. When he saw the headlines, "Guild Aries manufactured drama," and false reports from Guild Aries, he smirked and thought, "They really thought I'd be an easy target? That's just plain stupid." Elsewhere, the deputy manager of Guild Aries looked furious as he read the reports. Hyun-woo had flipped their entire plan on its head with one simple trick, a voice recording. Just thinking about it made his blood boil, and he slammed his fist on the table. But after a moment, he chuckled and admitted that he used to think Si-hyun was just a hard-headed kid relying only on brute strength, with no clue how the world really worked. Then, with a serious look, he muttered that he had no intention of letting Hyun-woo off the hook. At a restaurant, Hyun-woo and his three companions were enjoying dinner together while chatting. Si-hyun said he was amazed Hyun-woo had the foresight to record everything, as if he knew this situation would happen. Seo Kwon chimed in, saying he was also stunned while watching the press conference live. Seo Young added that she never expected Hyun-woo to have Cheongang Shin's phone, and admitted she was impressed. She never thought he could be so meticulous, but Hyun-woo casually replied, "That was all a lie." The three of them went silent. Si-hyun asked, confused, "Wait, are you saying everything you said during the press conference was a lie?" Hyun-woo raised his phone and clarified that the phone he showed wasn't actually the assassin's, but the recording he played, that was real. He explained that because his friends kept warning him about how dangerous Guild Aries was, he got into the habit of recording whenever he left the house. Even he didn't expect that one of those recordings would come in handy like this. Seo Young suddenly panicked, warned that if the phone was examined, Hyun-woo could be in serious trouble. She asked why he would risk telling a lie that could so easily be exposed. Hyun-woo replied calmly, "That's not going to happen." Still frustrated, Seo Young asked why he was so confident. As he casually twirled his fork, Hyun-woo explained that before he ever had to hand over the phone to the authorities, Guild Aries would definitely come for him first. And when that happened, he'd be ready to give them a little warning, to make sure they know not to mess with him. Hearing his explanation, Seo Young finally felt a bit more at ease. Still, deep down, she couldn't help but feel like she was the only one freaking out and overreacting like an idiot. As he picked up a piece of steak, Hyun-woo told them not to worry. While chewing his food, he thought about how Guild Aries was a massive organization based in the US, controlling dungeons and labyrinths across the globe. Out of all the countries, Korea was one of the places where they held the most control. Hyun-woo wondered if they'd come back with another stupid plan, or maybe try to strike a deal with him again. Either way, he didn't care. If a fight broke out, Aries had a lot to lose. But Hyun-woo? He had nothing to lose at all. After dinner, Hyun-woo and Seo-hyun walked toward their car. But just before getting in, Hyun-woo suddenly said he wanted to take a walk and told Seo-hyun to head home first. Seo-hyun hesitated at first, but eventually gave in, thinking Hyun-woo could handle himself. Hyun-woo strolled casually into a narrow alley. Once he reached the middle, he stopped. With a faint smile, he muttered that they'd shown up earlier than he expected. From the shadows, a group of assassins appeared and surrounded him. One of them told Hyun-woo that someone wanted to meet him and asked him to come along. Hyun-woo laughed at their outfits, mocking them for looking like medieval assassins, but none of them reacted. He then asked if the person looking for him was someone important from Guild Aries. One of the assassins replied that he'd find out, if he agreed to come, peacefully. Hyun-woo, still calm, asked what would happen if he refused. The assassin answered bluntly. In that case, they'd force him. Hyun-woo smiled and said that thanks to the rift, he'd become pretty famous. And yet, knowing that, they still tried something this stupid. He had to admit, they had guts. Then he stepped forward, startling the assassins. But instead of attacking, he simply pulled something out of the ground and pointed at the one who'd been speaking. In his right hand were a bunch of green onions. The assassin, clearly pissed off, lunged at Hyun-woo, yelling that they weren't like Cheongang Shin. They were stronger. But before he could finish his sentence, Hyun-woo smacked him straight in the face with the green onions, sending him flying backward. The rest of the assassins immediately charged in, swords drawn, chanting reinforcement spells. But what they didn't expect was that their blades couldn't even scratch Hyun-woo, like their swords had turned blunt. Long story short, the assassins sent by Guild Aries were completely overpowered and left sprawled on the ground. Only one was still standing, trembling, crying, and begging for mercy. Hyun-woo said he'd spare him, but only if he told him who was looking for him. The scene shifted to Gyeonggi, on the outskirts of Gwangju. There, hidden underground, was a secret bunker guarded by two people dressed just like the earlier assassins. They were casually chatting about Hyun-woo, exchanging gossip and rumors. But mid-conversation, Hyun-woo suddenly crashed down like a bomb, shattering the ground beneath him. He was dragging the same assassin who had begged for mercy, now unconscious. The two guards froze, stunned by his sudden arrival. And when they got a better look at who he was dragging, they were shocked. It was someone from Team 1A, the elite squad said to be the strongest unit in the entire bunker. Inside, someone who seemed to hold a high-ranking position within Guild Aries heard the noise. The thunderous impact was getting closer, coming from the direction of the lift. Suddenly, a massive explosion blasted through the elevator, slamming into the assassin Hyun-woo had brought with him. Everyone inside the bunker immediately sprang into action, ready to fight. Hyun-woo looked around in awe and casually remarked that he didn't expect a place like this to exist. Glancing at the Guild Aries members, he asked, "You guys must be loaded, huh? Building something like this underground?" The man who seemed to be the leader of Guild Aries asked who Hyun-woo was and how he managed to get into their bunker. Hyun-woo simply smiled and said they should already know. As a deadly aura began to radiate from his body, he continued, "I'm the angel of death sent to claim your lives." The scene cut to another location, a room that looked like it was used for interrogations. A woman sat in a chair, bound by cuffs and magical restraints. Standing before her, someone tried to provoke her by saying that Guild domination had abandoned her. That person turned out to be the leader of Guild Aries. With a mocking tone, he said, "Still being stubborn? You're going to die for real this time. But if you tell me the weaknesses of Guild domination, I'll grant you anything you want." The woman remained silent, showing not a hint of fear. Her calm defiance only enraged the guild leader more. He ordered his subordinates to drag her back to the torture chamber, saying that if she really wanted to die, they'd show her exactly what death felt like. One of his subordinates, an assassin, hesitated and asked if they were really allowed to kill her. The Guild Aries leader shot him a cold glare and said he didn't care. If she wasn't going to talk, then she was better off dead. The assassin lowered his head and accepted the order, but just as he was about to carry it out, the door suddenly exploded open with a thunderous blow. The Guild Aries leader turned to see who had arrived. Hyun-woo strolled into the room and asked, "So you're the one looking for me?" But when he noticed the woman slumped in the chair, his focus instantly shifted. He stared at the guild leader and said, "You invited me here, and yet I find someone else waiting for me?" Visibly panicked, the Guild Aries leader demanded to know how Hyun-woo had gotten there. He also asked what happened to the elite squad that had been sent to capture him. Hyun-woo responded with a relaxed smile. saying that the people he sent were still lying unconscious by the roadside. With a calm yet intimidating tone, he added, "So, what's it gonna be? You want me to beat you into the ground before I bury you, or do you want to talk?" The assassins near the guild leader rushed forward, swinging their swords at Hyun-woo. But before they could even touch his neck, Hyun-woo launched a powerful kick, sending one of them flying. Glancing down at the fallen assassins, he said that he came because he was invited, but instead, they welcomed him with violence. He asked if all they wanted was to try picking a fight. The guild leader, watching the scene unfold, finally realized something. Hyun-woo wasn't just some average A-rank hunter. The bunker was filled with B-plus class hunters, and all the assassins were A-plus. Some of them were even on the verge of advancing to S-rank, yet none of them could lay a finger on Hyun-woo. He'd even stopped the rift by himself. At first, the guild leader assumed that the rift's boss had just been weak, but now, after witnessing everything, he began to suspect that Hyun-woo was an S-rank, maybe even a high-tier S-rank. As he got lost in thought, Hyun-woo interrupted, asking if he was deaf. He reminded him that he'd given him a choice: get buried after a beatdown, or talk. The guild leader felt humiliated and frustrated, but he knew this wasn't the time to act rashly. Reluctantly, he agreed. They needed to talk, negotiate with Guild Ares. The scene shifted to a new room, with chairs arranged around a round table. The guild leader knew one thing for sure. Until he figured out just how powerful Hyun-woo really was, he couldn't afford to make another careless move. He needed to stall for time and dig deeper. Before the guild leader could even come up with a strategy, Hyun-woo got straight to the point, demanding compensation. The guild leader looked at him in shock and asked if he was serious. Pointing his finger, Hyun-woo replied, "Of course I'm serious." He stated that Guild Ares had caused him significant harm, sending hunters to kill him, using the media to ruin his reputation, and now pretending like nothing happened. With a calm expression, Hyun-woo continued, saying he had no intention of letting them off the hook. The guild leader asked what it was that Hyun-woo actually wanted. Without hesitation, Hyun-woo said he wanted 10 billion won in damages, and on top of that, control over a few beginner dungeons owned by Guild Ares. Hearing this, the guild leader slammed the table in frustration, calling the demands outrageous. But Hyun-woo responded coolly, "Is that amount really a problem for you guys?" He pointed out that, for a guild as big as Ares, that number shouldn't even matter. The guild leader fell silent, realizing just how insane this man was. While 10 billion won might not hurt their finances, handing over beginner dungeons meant giving a rookie hunter full monopoly rights. Hyun-woo stared him down and warned that if they kept stalling, he'd add another 5 billion to the bill. The guild leader clenched his jaw but tried to reason with him. He said there was no benefit to continuing this hostility, and if Hyun-woo only wanted money, he should have accepted their contract offer from the start. He continued, if Hyun-woo was after authority and exclusive rights, then joining Guild Ares would be the smarter move. If he agreed, he could get everything he wanted. Rather than become enemies, the guild leader said, wouldn't it be better to work together and both profit? But Hyun-woo's tone suddenly shifted. Annoyed, he firmly said he was starting to lose his patience. The guild leader was caught off guard by the change in his voice. Hyun-woo made it clear they were talking about compensation, not partnerships. He questioned why everyone in this guild acted so high and mighty. With a sharp mocking tone, Hyun-woo added that they strutted around, thinking they were powerful. But in the end, he had beaten them all down. And if they kept bringing up Guild Ares, he'd lose all interest in talking. Coldly, Hyun-woo gave the guild leader one final choice: accept his conditions or fight to the death. The guild leader said nothing, his face twisted in frustration. The scene shifts to Si-hyun's apartment. She was shocked when Hyun-woo suddenly showed up. But what surprised her even more was the fact that he was carrying a woman on his back. Confused, Si-hyun stared at him and asked, "Who is she?" In a place reduced to ruins, it seems like an entire world has collapsed. But in another world, someone stands, staring at a tall tower in front of him. He says, "Now, it's the 9th floor." The scene shifts to the next morning. Si-hyun looks at Hyun-woo in shock. Hyun-woo had managed to secure a compensation of 11 billion won and ownership rights to 4 beginner dungeons. As an additional reward, Hyun-woo also received something, or rather, someone, the woman he had carried last night. Si-hyun asks, "How did you manage to get all that from the head of the powerful Ares Guild?" Hyun-woo casually replies, he had no choice unless he wanted to die. Still curious, Si-hyun points at the unconscious woman and asks, "Why did you bring her here?" Hyun-woo answers, "As a hostage. Plus, there's something I need to find out." Si-hyun narrows his eyes suspiciously. "What exactly do you need to find out?" Hyun-woo glances at him and says coolly, "It's personal. Don't worry about it." Hearing this, Si-hyun hesitates but decides not to press further. "I'm heading out," he says. "A group of boss monsters just respawned today. I'm planning to capture them all." Hyun-woo simply waves his hand and says, "Be careful." After Si-hyun leaves, Hyun-woo stares at the tattoo on the woman's arm. His eyes sharpen. The tattoo looks eerily similar to the skull mask he wore inside the tower, but he wonders, is this just a coincidence? To be sure, Hyun-woo checks the woman's status. Her name is Hongrin, age 24. Aside from that, there's no particularly special information, and Hyun-woo is certain he has no memory of ever meeting her before. He thinks to himself, I'll just ask her directly when she wakes up. Moments later, an information screen pops up in front of Hyun-woo. It announces that a new climber has started ascending the 9th floor. But within less than a minute, another notification appears. The system is summoning Hyun-woo, now an official guardian. Caught off guard, Hyun-woo suddenly finds himself inside the AV room. With a serious tone, he asks, Why did you call me here? AV looks at him and says, He's coming. Hyun-woo frowns. He? Who are you talking about? AV calmly replies, The next climber. Hyun-woo's curiosity deepens. What's he like? When will he get here? AV simply displays the same notification screen that Hyun-woo had seen earlier. Without hesitation, Hyun-woo smacks AV on the head and says, Let me guess, you're about to say you can't tell me anything beyond what's on that screen, right? Holding his head, AV protests. I've told you countless times, there's nothing I can do. Your authority level is too low. Growing even more annoyed, Hyun-woo says, If you don't know what kind of climber he is or when he's arriving, then why bother calling me here? Just to repeat the same notification? AV quickly responds, That's not it. I invited you here because I have a request. Still skeptical, Hyun-woo asks, A request? What kind of request? With a serious face, AV explains, This climber will be tougher than anyone you've faced before. Before he arrives, there's something you must obtain immediately. Without wasting time, Hyun-woo asks, What is it? AV answers, You need to learn magic, as soon as possible. Otherwise, it'll be dangerous. Hyun-woo smirks mockingly and says, Dangerous? Does that mean this climber is high level? AV quickly refutes, No. If it were a high-level climber, magic alone wouldn't be enough. The arrival of a high-level climber would basically mean the end of the world. Looking deadly serious, AV continues, You won't even be able to handle this mid-level climber without magic. Hyun-woo falls silent for a moment, then asks, Can't you tell where he'll appear? Or will there be another rift like last time? AV replies, I can't say for sure. There might be a rift, or there might not. The climber's arrival depends on their power, or their mission. Finally, Hyun-woo understands. A mid-level climber is about to arrive. He scoffed and said, So basically, you're trying to use me to deal with some unknown threat. That's what you're getting at, right? His fist clenched, ready to punch AV again. Still holding his head from earlier, AV tried to defend himself. Why are you always so angry and violent towards me? Haven't you ever heard the saying, You shouldn't hit a vulnerable woman? Were you raised wrong or something? He said with frustration. But Hyun-woo's reply made AV fall silent. I don't have parents, Hyun-woo said. They died in an accident when I was a kid. AV froze and lowered his head. In a regretful tone, he said, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I shouldn't have said that. But Hyun-woo just gave a small smile and replied, It's fine. I don't really think about it much. You don't have to feel guilty. Hearing that, AV simply fell silent, staring at Hyun-woo with a confused expression. Deep inside, he started wondering, maybe Hyun-woo isn't such a bad person after all. Meanwhile, at the Guild Arang building in Gwangjin, Hyun-woo was training in magic under Seo Young's direct guidance. But even after 4 days, there had been no significant progress. Seo Young was getting frustrated. She had never heard of a hunter struggling like this before. Although magic was Seo Young's specialties, and she had been doing her best to help, Hyun-woo's magical abilities simply refused to develop. It was a situation she'd never encountered. Just then, Saihyun came in, bringing a letter for Hyun-woo. It turned out to be an official notice stating that Hyun-woo had founded a guild. Surprised, Seo Young asked, When did Hyun-woo start a guild? Hyun-woo explained, Since I have a dungeon now, I thought it'd be good to try new things. I named it Guardian. Both Seo Young and Si-hyun looked skeptical, thinking the name didn't really suit Hyun-woo's character. Annoyed, Hyun-woo changed the subject. Anyway, what about the woman I brought back? Has she woken up yet? Si-hyun answered, She's still asleep. Worried, Hyun-woo said, Don't tell me she's brain dead or something? Si-hyun quickly replied, No way. The nurse said she's just in shock. Hyun-woo let out a sigh of relief. I've been busting my ass every day, but I still can't use magic. The worst part is, I don't even know what magic is supposed to feel like. Seo Young, clearly stressed, said, Maybe we should find someone who can implant magic into you? Si-hyun immediately guessed, You mean Nakagawa Yasumi? Hyun-woo's eyes widened. Implant magic? What do you mean? As Seo Young explained, Nakagawa Yasumi, the leader of the Izanami Guild in Japan. I've heard she has a unique skill called acupoint. She can boost magic power in hunters who struggle to awaken their abilities. Excited, Hyun-woo quickly pulled out his phone and searched for Nakagawa Yasumi's profile. Looks like I'll have to go to Japan to meet her, he said, already feeling a bit annoyed at the hassle. Meanwhile, in Tokyo, Japan, disaster had struck. A climber had arrived, bringing chaos in his wake. Nakagawa Yasumi and her guild members were desperately trying to hold him back, but they were being overwhelmed. Yasumi shouted at the climber, "Who are you, really?" The climber responded, "Maybe it's fate that you managed to dodge my sword, so I'll answer your question. People call me many things: climber, destroyer, devil, even thunder god. But my true name is Cheonma." Back with Hyun-woo, he received a notification that the new climber on the 9th floor had officially arrived. Without wasting a second, he ordered Sai-hyun to get ready to leave. On the way, Hyun-woo thought to himself, "I still don't have any magic skills? Could this be a problem?" Sai-hyun, knowing Hyun-woo's reckless habits, complained, "Bro, I know you're always impulsive, but dragging me all the way to Japan just to implant magic? That's crazy." Hyun-woo simply replied, "Hey, I've got other business there too, so it works out." Sai-hyun asked again, "But do you even have a passport?" Hyun-woo froze. Oh crap. But deep down, he knew, I have to catch that climber. Inside the conference room of the Japan Branch Hunter Association, a man asked Nakagawa Yasumi, "How are you still alive, Nakagawa? I heard you died fighting Cheonma yesterday. It was all over the news." Nakagawa replied, "Thanks to one of my artifacts, I was able to come back to life." The man pressed on. "Is Cheonma really that strong?" Nakagawa answered seriously, "Yes." The man continued, "News of your death, one of the top S-class hunters, has spread around the world. Because of that, no other hunters are willing to help us." Another person standing beside him added, "We're finished." The first man spoke again, frustration clear in his voice. "If Nakagawa couldn't win, there's no way the three of us, who are barely any stronger, could succeed. There are no volunteers left. The hunters we sent out have been wiped out. The civilian casualties are enormous. Are we really just going to stand by and watch this happen?" At that moment, their eyes were drawn to the CCTV monitors showing the situation outside. There, they saw Hyun-woo had arrived in Japan and was now standing face to face with Cheonma. Hyun-woo and Cheonma locked eyes. Hyun-woo tried to scan Cheonma's status, but no information appeared. He thought to himself, "Is my skill useless against climbers?" Then Hyun-woo asked Cheonma, "So, the theme this time is a historical drama from the East, huh?" Cheonma didn't answer. Instead, he raised his sword and slashed toward Hyun-woo. But Hyun-woo was already one step ahead, swiftly moving behind him. He clenched his fist, ready to strike, but Cheonma easily blocked his punch. Frustrated, Hyun-woo muttered, "Quit swinging that sword around and just answer me." Cheonma, preparing to attack again, said, "I'll answer you, since you managed to dodge my blade." As he launched another attack, he declared, "I am Cheonma." His sword came slashing down at lightning speed. Hyun-woo quickly ducked, dodging the powerful aura of the strike. He's fast, Hyun-woo thought, but not unbeatable. It looks like a single attack, but he's actually chaining multiple strikes together. If I get hit even once, I could be sliced into dozens of pieces. I need to stay close. That'll give me the advantage. Without hesitation, Hyun-woo closed the distance and launched a punch. At close range, Hyun-woo's strength shined through. His fist broke through Cheonma's defenses and struck him in the stomach. Cheonma coughed up blood, stunned. Before he could react, Hyun-woo dashed in again, pressing the attack. Shocked that a climber like himself could be wounded by someone from Earth, Cheonma unleashed a storm of lightning, sending bolts crackling in every direction. He walked toward Hyun-woo casually and asked, "Who are you?" Cheonma continued, "On the previous floors, and the ones before that, no one has ever been able to rival me." Elsewhere, Sai-hyun, who was on site, was shocked by what he saw. Right after getting off the plane, Hyun-woo took off running without saying a word. Si-hyun wondered why Hyun-woo was standing there, and thought to himself, could it be he already knows when the rift will appear? Back to the battle between Hyun-woo and Cheonma. Hyun-woo kept dodging Cheonma's unpredictable attacks. But despite the fierce assault, he still wore a smile. He shouted, "Another crazy skill, huh?" Hearing the word skill, Cheonma's pride was clearly wounded. He wasn't about to let his techniques be downgraded to mere skills. With a sharp glint in his eyes, he unleashed another powerful attack. Seeing the surge of aura coming at him, Hyun-woo realized something. If he retreated now, the distance between them would only widen. Without hesitation, he made a bold decision to charge forward and fight head-on. Hyun-woo quickly closed the gap, grabbed Cheonma by the collar, and slammed his forehead into Cheonma's head with a brutal headbutt. But he didn't stop there. While Cheonma was still reeling from the impact, Hyun-woo immediately followed up with his special move, Destruction Punch. The devastating blow struck Cheonma hard, sending him flying backward. It looked brutal, but even so, it wasn't enough to finish Cheonma off. Slowly, Cheonma rose to his feet, blood dripping from the corner of his mouth, yet his face was still calm and confident. As he walked forward, he spoke in a steady voice. "I'll say it again." While speaking, he activated a deadly technique. A dimensional rift tore open, unleashing bolts of lightning in every direction. "You're impressive," he continued, "but that doesn't mean you're unbeatable." His expression turned cold and serious as he locked eyes with Hyun-woo. "Since the day I first became a climber, I've never experienced anything like this. But now..." He raised his sword high above his head. I'm going to use everything I've got. Seeing the shift in Cheonma's aura, Hyunwoo immediately sensed the danger. This wasn't just any ordinary attack. This was something powerful enough to erase him from existence with a single blow. Thinking fast, Hyunwoo realized the only way to survive was to stay close to Cheonma, to minimize the impact of the devastating technique. Then, with a swift, almost casual swing, Cheonma unleashed his move, Extreme Thunder Spirit Sword. In an instant, the entire area transformed into a violent vortex of energy, as if the world itself was centering around Cheonma. Standing firm, Cheonma looked at Hyunwoo and said, "Your instincts are sharp. When I swung my sword, you grabbed my collar and spun your body. But even then," he added, "you couldn't completely avoid my attack." Nearby, Hyunwoo staggered, barely holding himself up. Although he dodged the direct hit, the lightning that exploded from the attack had spread through his body, leaving him in excruciating pain. Just when it seemed like his body was about to give out, a notification suddenly popped up in front of him. Magic proficiency has increased. Hyunwoo froze, confused. How did that happen? Quickly regaining his senses, he stepped back to catch his breath, putting distance between himself and Cheonma. Seeing Hyunwoo still standing, Cheonma spoke in an icy tone. "I wonder if your luck will hold out a second time." As he spoke, he began activating the same deadly technique once more. But this time, the aura radiating from him was even more overwhelming than before. Watching this unfold, Hyunwoo thought to himself, "Incredible. This isn't some system-granted skill. This is a technique he created himself." Then he realized something. If this Cheonma was truly the same one that appeared in countless novels, then the man standing before him was a legend, a warrior who had reached the highest pinnacle of combat, the strongest man in the world, Cheonma. Cheonma, starting to lose his patience, asked, "Even after witnessing my Thunder Spirit sword, you still insist on fighting?" Hyunwoo gave a slight smile. "You think that's enough to scare me?" Cheonma's irritation deepened. "Arrogant fool, have you not realized yet that you can't win against me?" Hyunwoo let out a small laugh. "You're right. I can't beat your power right now." But even as he said that, he moved his hand, feeling something different stirring within his body. "Your thunderbolt? It seems to have awakened my chi." Cheonma froze, caught off guard by those words. Hyunwoo's mind drifted back to the days he was trapped inside the tower, endlessly training in various martial arts. There was one technique he had never been able to master back then, the demon art. In the novels about knights, it was said that demon art was an absolute power, something only the greatest beings in the world could wield. Back then, Hyunwoo had no internal energy. He didn't know how to use chi in real combat. All he could do was mimic the movements he had read about in novels. But now, everything had changed. Suddenly, something incredible happened. From Hyunwoo's back, something like wings of light began to emerge. Smiling, he said, "In the last 10 seconds, you became my teacher, Cheonma." Enraged, Cheonma immediately launched a fierce attack at Hyunwoo, who was still floating in the air with his glowing wings. But before the strike could land, Hyunwoo swiftly descended to the ground. Staring directly at Cheonma, he said with confidence, "Let me show you what I've learned from you." In his heart, Hyunwoo began gathering all his power into one point. He focused all his energy into his legs, preparing to unleash the new technique he had just grasped. Cheonma, noticing the strange movement, wasn't about to stand idly by. He raised his sword once more, preparing to finish Hyunwoo with a single decisive blow. But before the sword could fall, Hyunwoo moved first. With one explosive leap, he shot forward and struck Cheonma with a technique he had named Kick of Destruction. The power behind the attack was overwhelming, so fast it couldn't even be followed by the naked eye. Even the surveillance cameras recording their battle shattered from the shockwave. When the dust and smoke finally cleared, only one figure remained standing: Hyunwoo. Cheonma was nowhere to be seen. At that moment, a screen appeared before Hyunwoo. "You have successfully defeated the climber Cheonma." The scene shifts to Pado Castle, the headquarters of the Domination Guild. Inside the massive fortress, the guildmaster sits on his throne, eyes locked onto a screen, broadcasting a live battle between Hyunwoo and Cheonma. The moment he witnesses Hyunwoo's devastating kick of destruction, he can't hold back his emotions. No doubt about it, that man is master, he thinks. Suddenly, memories from the past flood his mind. Back when he was alone, cornered, and beaten by monsters inside the tower, he was on the brink of despair. But just when everything seemed lost, someone appeared. Someone who saved him. Someone who taught him how to fight. The very first person he ever called master. The memory stirs something deep inside him. He misses his master. He wants to see him again. Soon, several of his subordinates enter the room. "Which areas are left?" the guildmaster asks. "The eastern dungeon, currently held by the Wyon Guild," one of them replies. "If we take that, the entire Chinese region will belong to the Domination Guild." The guildmaster nods, a sly grin forming on his face. "Wrap it up in 1 month, he orders. "I'll make my move when my master returns to this world. I swore to create a kingdom worthy of him." With a faint blush, he murmurs to himself, "I need to hurry. I have to see him again." The scene transitions to Gimpo International Airport. Hyun-woo has just landed in Korea. A massive crowd awaits, journalists and fans lined up to welcome him. He never expected this kind of reception. Reporters bombard him with questions, especially about the rift that recently appeared in Japan. Overwhelmed, Hyun-woo lets out a long sigh. What is going on here? He thinks. He raises his hand, trying to calm the crowd. Everyone, please relax. If you have questions, direct them to Saihyun over here. Caught completely off guard, Saihyun freezes in panic. Why me? He thinks in disbelief. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo casually slips away from the chaos, leaving Saihyun stunned. Back at Saihyun's apartment, Hyun-woo, now annoyed from all the unexpected trouble, is suddenly shocked once more. A woman he once saved is standing there. Hongrin is awake. She bows her head respectfully. I want to thank you again, she says softly. You saved my life. Hyun-woo is momentarily speechless. Hongrin, this woman. I rescued her from the Ares Guild. He already looked into her background. She's an executive of the Domination Guild. She was captured by the Ares Guild during a battle to defend her dungeon. Despite being tortured, she survived. But that's not what shocks Hyun-woo now. He immediately asks, that tattoo on your hand? What does it mean? Hongrin gently touches the tattoo and replies, it's the symbol of an executive in the Domination Guild. Our leader told us it means we all live under the same sky. Hyun-woo's expression shifts, shock, then unease. The sky? What does that mean? Cold sweat starts to form on his brow. Hongrin continues. He said, no one stands above you. The only thing above is the sky. Everything else is beneath you. Suddenly, Hyun-woo slams the table, startling Hongrin. Did I say something wrong? She asks, frightened. He composes himself and says, no, you didn't. But deep down, he thinks, the one who was wrong was me. Back then, I believed in all that nonsense without question. He reflects on his time in the tower. I followed everything from web novels and anime like it was the answer to life. I suffered like some naive teenager obsessed with cartoons. Anger boils inside him, and then it hits him. Why? Is the person I saved now the leader of the Domination Guild? He fixes his gaze on Hongrin and says in a deep, firm voice, when you return to the Domination Guild, tell your leader this. Don't come looking for me. Never. A few days later, Hyun-woo was invited to appear on the TV show All About Hunters. His three friends, who were watching the show, were shocked to see him on screen. Seo Yong, clearly confused, asked, why is Hyun-woo up there? Saihyun, acting indifferent, replied, he said he had something to announce. I don't really know, just that it was important. Seo Yong pressed further, still confused. What's going on with you? Is something wrong? On the show, Hyun-woo appeared with a serious expression and didn't waste any time. I'm just here for a bit of publicity, he said bluntly, pointing directly at the camera. I've just created a new guild, and we're now recruiting members, so if you're interested, sign up. After the show, Hyun-woo returned to his apartment, only to be stunned by the mountain of application letters waiting for him. They were piled up like a mountain. Standing beside him, Seo-yoon glanced at the stack and said, yeah, don't expect me to help with all that. Hyun-woo simply replied in his head, well, at least I'm not doing this alone. Hours later, Si-hyun, Seo-yong, and Seo-kwan, the leader of one of Korea's top guilds, were all still there, helping Hyun-woo sort through the endless paperwork. They sat around a large table, completely covered in documents. Eventually, curiosity got the better of Seo-kwan. Hyun-woo, why are you even starting a guild? It's a hassle and definitely not easy. Hyun-woo replied casually, I just want to earn some money. Raiding labyrinths pays well, and if I manage my own dungeon, the cash will keep rolling in on its own. Si-hyun raised an eyebrow. But don't you already have more than enough money? Seo-yong chimed in. Maybe he's like this because he had a tough childhood. Soon after, the new hunter interviews began. In one interview, Hyun-woo rejected a candidate. The applicant didn't take it well and protested, among C-rank hunters, I'm one of the strongest. Did you even read my resume properly? Clearly irritated, Hyun-woo snapped back. I did read it, but if I don't like you, what are you going to do about it? He told the applicant to leave, leaving the others in the room confused, especially since the hunter had a reputation for clearing sea-level dungeons with ease. But Hyun-woo had his reasons. While the applicant's physical abilities checked out, his status revealed a strong tendency towards selfishness. That alone was enough for Hyun-woo to reject him. He realized then that the recent upgrade to his status authority skill was actually useful, something he had previously written off as pointless. But now, during interviews like this, it proved to be a valuable tool. After carefully reviewing each applicant's status one by one, Hyun-woo finally accepted 21 new members. After the interviews were over, Hyun-woo and Saihyun sat in the car, heading somewhere. Saihyun was surprised that Hyun-woo managed to finish all the interviews in just an hour and a half, despite the huge number of applicants. Hyun-woo casually replied, I just picked the ones who weren't in it for the money. That alone was enough. Still curious, Saihyun asked, you chose them based on their experience, right? Hyun-woo shook his head. Nope. As long as they have decent ability, that's fine. If there's a fight, I'll handle it myself. He continued. Come to think of it, Not a single S-Class applied. Si-hyun pointed out that S-Class hunters are rare. There are only about 5,000 of them worldwide. Hyun-woo was surprised. Wait, 5,000? That sounds like a lot. So, what's your ranking among them? Si-hyun calmly replied, This quarter, I'm ranked 163. Seo Kwon is 175. Seo Yong's 161. Hyun-woo commented, Not that high, huh? Si-hyun explained, Once you hit the top 200, everyone starts paying attention. It gets noisy, and people start flocking to us. Hyun-woo said, I once saw a list of the top S-Class hunters on YouTube, but a lot of the names just disappeared. Why is that? Si-hyun answered seriously, Because they're dead. Hyun-woo asked again, But aren't S-Classes supposed to be strong? How are so many of them dying? Si-hyun explained, Most of them die trying to find ST plus level artifacts. To level up, they need to leave the tower and gain EXP. Usually they can only climb 3 levels from where they start. If they want to go higher, they have to go deep into the labyrinth to find those ST plus artifacts. Hyun-woo asked, So labyrinths are basically the graves of S-Class hunters? Si-hyun nodded. Exactly. And it's not just the labyrinths. Some hunters don't search for artifacts. They just kill others who find them. There are a lot of hunter-on-hunter killings out there. Hunters who kill other hunters like that are called hunter killers. Many of them end up being removed from the official S-Class list. Eventually, they arrived at the dungeon taken from Ares, now called the Invisible Swamp, and officially under Hyun-woo's ownership. He told Si-hyun to head back first. He wanted to fight the regenerated boss and explore the deeper layers himself. Shortly after entering the dungeon, Hyun-woo heard a voice. Pleasure to meet you, Hyun-woo. Immediately suspicious, Hyun-woo asked, Who are you? Don't tell me you're with the Ares Guild. The man answered calmly. Correct. We were sent by the Ares Guild. Then his teammates stepped out from behind him. But we're not members of that guild. We're a group of hunters who kill other hunters. Then he asked, Have you ever heard of Pandemonium? Pandemonium, a name legendary among hunters. Just hearing it struck fear into people's hearts. They were a mercenary group made up of the world's top-ranked hunters. Many of them were in the S-Class Top 100, known for their unmatched killing power. They charged sky-high fees, and wherever they went, death followed. The members of Pandemonium were legendary killers, unmatched across the globe. Gunslinger Jack, rank 72, Bloodwine Asuo, rank 68, Master Aslan, rank 91, and finally, a powerful witch named Anya, rank 52, one of the strongest spellcasters alive. When Hyun-woo heard that Anya was ranked 52, he remarked, Rank 52? That's a pretty decent rank for a witch. Anya, clearly offended, snapped back, what nonsense. You're a hunter, and you've never heard of me? One of the top-ranked witches in the world? Hyun-woo, still calm, replied, I asked because I didn't know. Kind of funny, actually. That only made Anya more furious. She activated her magic immediately. A top 50 S-Class hunter would still die at our hands. You know why? She cast Monobind toward Hyun-woo and continued, Because I'm Anya, the god of debuffs. But instead of panicking, Hyun-woo casually asked, Oh yeah? So, can you draw a proper magic circle? Anya was caught off guard. This is not the time for dumb questions. Can't you see the situation you're in? Remaining unfazed, Hyun-woo unleashed a menacing aura. I am assessing the situation. I asked because I need to decide whether I'm going to kill all of you or not. The sudden pressure from his aura made Anya tremble. Even as a top-tier witch, she could feel the overwhelming fear. Meanwhile, in China, in the city that serves as the headquarters of the Waiyan Guild, the atmosphere was tense and grim. Li Do-cheon, ranked 82nd, was panting heavily in front of the leader of the Domination Guild, the one who had just turned their world into a nightmare. Surrounded by a pile of corpses that used to be members of the Waiyan Guild, the leader stood tall and unscathed. Gasping and in pain, Li Do-cheon spoke, Even if I die here, our leaders are on their way. You think you can take them on by yourself? But the leader of the Domination Guild merely smiled at Li Do-cheon's bluff. Irritated, Li Do-cheon charged at him with his sword, closing the distance in a flash. The leader swiftly dodged his strike and said, Such a shame. That kind of skill is wasted on someone like you. But no matter, I'm in a hurry to meet the master. Without giving Li Do-cheon a chance to react, he activated the destruction skill, one he had learned from Hyun-woo. In an instant, Li Do-cheon collapsed, defeated. Back in Korea, Hyun-woo had just arrived at the Arang Guild headquarters in the Gwangjin district. But this time, he wasn't alone. He was dragging behind him the last remaining member of Pandemonium, Anya. I brought someone who can fix your magic circle, Hyun-woo said casually to Seo Yong. Still sobbing, Anya asked, Can I leave after I fix it? We'll see, Hyun-woo replied. Depends on how good your work is. As Anya began repairing Seo Yong's magic circle, Seo Yong couldn't hold back her curiosity. Hey, isn't she Anya, ranked 52nd in the world? Surprised, Hyun-woo muttered. Huh, I guess she really is a famous magic user, huh? Seo Yong continued. She was expelled for becoming a hunter-killer. How can you bring a criminal here? With his usual calmness, Hyun-woo replied, Once again, Ares Guild sent her team after me. She's the only one I could bring back. Seo Yang looked even more shocked. Her team? Don't tell me Pandemonium was after you, and you beat them all? Hyun Woo simply nodded. Seo Yang, still in disbelief, asked again, but your abilities aren't even at a level that could beat Pandemonium. Hyun Woo sighed. Yeah, I think there's something weird about my powers too. But hey, that's what it says on the info screen. He added, anyway, she'll do a good job if you scare her enough. Don't worry, she's the type who'll do anything to survive. Then Hyun Woo told Seo Yang to keep an eye on Anya while he stepped out. Where are you going? Seo Yang asked. I got a gift, he replied. Time to return the favor. He stopped by a convenience store, bought something, and looked up at the tall Ares Guild building. I need to give them a little thank you gift, he muttered. When he arrived at Ares Guild HQ, their members blocked his path, telling him to leave. Hyun Woo calmly asked, Your boss is in, right? He pulled something out of the bag he just bought. I came to give him a gift. I mean, no one's going to report me for using this, right? He took out a toy hammer. Without hesitation, Hyun Woo started whacking Ares Guild members with the toy hammer. Despite being a toy, the blows clearly hurt. A lot. Inside the guild leader's office, one of the subordinates frantically called the boss. Even though he told him it was just a toy hammer, the pain in his voice said otherwise. The guild leader sighed. Hyun Woo, that lunatic. But he's not your average lunatic. Who the hell storms an office wielding a toy hammer? If word of this gets out, Ares Guild's reputation will tank. Should I ask for help from headquarters? Number. If I do that, they'll think the Korean branch is incompetent and start questioning my position. Before the guild leader could figure out how to handle the situation, Hyun Woo had already smashed through the door. The sudden intrusion left the guild leader shocked as he quickly stood up. With a calm expression, Hyun Woo walked toward him and said, Long time no see. How have you been? Without giving the guild leader a chance to react, Hyun Woo swung his toy hammer straight into his face. Let's start with one hit, then we talk. The blow sent the guild leader flying backward, crashing into the bookshelf behind him. Hyun Woo continued, Not long ago, I asked for compensation, but instead, you sent hunter-killers after me. Are you that desperate to die? Realizing that Pandemonium had been defeated by Hyun Woo, the guild leader finally asked, What do you want for compensation? Hyun Woo grinned. Glad you're the one offering this time. Get the money ready. How about 20 billion won this time? Grudgingly, the guild leader replied, I'll prepare it. Hyun Woo placed the toy hammer gently on the guild leader's head and said, I don't care how many people you send to attack me, but every time you do, make sure you send the compensation along with them. Now, you better call an ambulance unless you want your men to die. After Hyun Woo left, the guild leader fumed with rage and swore to take revenge. Since Pandemonium had failed, he needed someone on a completely different level. He couldn't ask for help from Ares Guild HQ, but he had another plan. He would go to China and bring back someone from there. The Emperor Dragon, an S-class hunter, ranked 5th in the world. At the same time, a nightmare was unfolding elsewhere. A climber had just destroyed the 8th floor of the tower. She was a woman with long white hair, horns, and an elven-like appearance. She was fighting the guardian of the 8th floor, who now looked like he was at his limit. She calmly stepped forward, counting her steps. 1, 2, 3, and on the 3rd step, the entire area was obliterated along with the guardian. Step 4, an even wider area was reduced to rubble, and on step 5, everything was annihilated without a trace. The climber spoke. So this time, extinction comes at step 5, not 10. With the 8th floor destroyed, she turned her eyes toward the next stage, the 9th floor, Earth. Guarded by Hyun Woo. Leading her yokai army, she marched forward and said, Let's make this gamble a bit more exciting. Back on Earth, the internet was buzzing. News was spreading fast. 47 ambulances had been spotted at Ares Guild's branch office. Sai-hyun, standing beside Hyun Woo, asked, If Ares sues you, you could be arrested? Aren't you worried at all? While looking at the news headlines, Hyun Woo replied, They were the ones who threatened me first. I was just defending myself. Besides, I used a toy hammer. Who's going to take that seriously? Sai-hyun countered, How many people have been hospitalized because of that toy hammer again? Hyun Woo told her not to worry. Then suddenly, something crossed his mind. Oh crap, I've got a seminar. I can't be late, or I'll get fined. Confused, Si-hyun asked, A seminar? You mean the beginner seminar they offered you in Japan? Didn't you say it was too much of a hassle? With a grin and a sparkle in his eye, Hyun Woo replied, They're paying me 50 million won. With that kind of money, anyone would feel motivated. This video ends here, but the story isn't over yet. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss the next part.